Okay, I think that'll hold. It's a real shaky setup, so I'm sorry about that. All right, total control 871. Um, this morning, this morning, last night was basically spent laying on my sleeping mat. It's got to be one of the most strange sensations. Your body is this mixture of depression and anxiety. It feels like you've taken uppers and not that I've ever actually taken uppers or downers, but I know what a stimulant feels like caffeine. But it's like you took uppers and downers at the same time, you know. Um, the depression makes me want to do nothing but lay there on my pad all day. I definitely feel the need to binge eat, but the depression also makes me not even want to get up, to go outside the house, to do anything. It's like I just want to lay there and die. I have not eaten today. Uh, and like I said, it's a conflicting mix. Depression makes you want to eat. Anxiety makes you not want to eat. Um, Anxiety makes me want to get out of this apartment, and not just because the police know where it's at. It's just a lot of nervousness. So depression makes me want to stay. Anxiety makes me want to go, to move, to go about. Um, and frankly, both emotions make me want to end my life. And these emotions are present not for idiopathic means. That's going to be one of my topics today. For whatever healthcare provider may or may not be out there watching these blogs, trying to gauge my faculties. How near am I to committing suicide or whatever? I did not just simply wake up this way. I will not, in Tom Cruise fashion, use a gigantically broad brush and just simply, pull a Tom Cruise, Brooke Shields maneuver and say that nobody should have head pills. Maybe there are people out there that wake up feeling this way for absolutely no reason. I don't know you. I don't know your situation, so I really can't comment on you. But the point that I'm making is that my situation, it's not idiopathic. There's a very quantifiable reason. It's police tyranny. It's denial of civil rights. And it's very difficult talking about that. Or should I say difficult talking about it and be taken seriously. Anytime you use those kinds of words, tyranny, civil rights, people, little thought bubbles, cartoon thought bubbles over their head, they start photoshopping me with, mentally photoshopping me with tinfoil hats on my head and things of the sort like that. Do you know what the biggest conspiracy theory there is out there? The biggest conspiracy that there is out there, not the theory, but the biggest conspiracy. It's the word conspiracy itself. all you have to do is say conspiracy or intimate a conspiracy, and immediately, and I don't care who you are, immediately your faculties, whomever it is you're speaking to, who your faculties will be quietly questioned in the back of their mind. You know, so anyway, it's just simply difficult talking about that. You keep a lot of it to yourself because, like I say, you're already fighting a prejudice. But the biggest conspiracy there is the word conspiracy. You literally cannot reference one or speak about a conspiracy without, you know, your faculties being brought into question, and therefore it shelters, it shields the conspiracy. That's my point. It camouflages it, so they can literally take the conspiracy and hide it in plain sight. Just my observation. I would like to talk a little bit about not conspiracies, civil right parasites. It's a terminology that I've come up with myself. I suppose, you know, I was thinking just a moment ago, I suppose, depending on your perspective, you might see a civil right parasite as somebody that erodes your civil rights. That very well might be true, but I am talking in a very particular interpretation. A civil right parasite. When I was incarcerated, and that's why I'm having a lot of difficulty talking and thinking today. It's very difficult. You know what happened in court yesterday. Whenever I think about the incarceration that I endured, it's just very difficult. Please bear with me. I am doing my best to keep my focus here. The horrors that happened to me in jail, we're going to set that aside for a moment. I would like to talk about the nursing staff at Mercer County Jail, primarily immigrants. I know there was one white woman. Everybody thought that she was from Switzerland from her accent. Her name was Josie. She wasn't from Switzerland. I forgot if she said that she was from the Poland, the Netherlands, or... Point is, she's a woman and she's an immigrant. There were about 3 or 4 black women who I never asked them, and I don't think anybody asked them, but it was either Africa or perhaps Haiti or maybe even Jamaica. But point is, they are black, they are women, and they are immigrants. And one of these black female African Haitians, I forgot exactly how the conversation came around to it, because in the medical ward cell that I was in, some of the other inmates were talking to them about, you know, maybe presumed innocence or something like that was brought up. And I forgot if I spoke to them or if they spoke to me or if it was one of the other inmates. The point is that this black female immigrant nurse, she said, if you are here in jail, then you must have done something wrong. That was incredibly, that's just wow. And, you know, there are a great many people in jails who have not stood trial. Is it like Rikers Island that has this fantastically high rate of pretrial inmates, something like 80%. There are people there that have been there for multiple years and have not gone to trial. And I'm sorry, I forgot the exact civil right, the exact amendment that it violates, because like I said, I'm having difficulty thinking right now, but I do know that it's one of your constitutional amendments that you have a right to a quick and speedy trial. And just like the same fashion happened to me yesterday in court, they just simply create, fabricate, doctor up logic, Frankenstein logic, to justify you not having a quick and speedy trial. Okay, I'll get focused here. This woman that said this, there are three very powerful civil rights movements. One, which is currently very brand new. I'll get to that in a moment. Probably the oldest one. Oh, no. She is not a slave. She is not a slave because of a civil war that was fought. A great deal of violence and death. I want to branch off and talk about how this white male-centric society that we live in seem to be the only ones who authorize use of force. You know, if you are not white, male, powerful government, use of force is instantaneously ruled as terrorism. You know, did the Royal Crown a couple hundred years ago rule George Washington a terrorist? I'll put a pin in that argument so I can stay focused. But the point is, a lot of primarily white men fought a civil rights war, and I know there are all kinds of arguments as to the true impetus, the true reasoning, money, taxes, and there's, take an American history course and bone up on it, but point is, a great deal of sacrifice happened so that this black woman is not seen as property, so that this black woman could be free to hold the job that she now holds, free to not be in shackles the way that I was in shackles. And of course, later, there was the women's suffragist movement. Alice Paul, Susan B. Anthony. One of my all-time favorite movies, Iron Jaw Angels. The movie gives me chills. Hilary Swank did one of the most... It was an Academy. I don't know if she won an Academy Award for it or not, but that was an absolutely incredible performance. I even quoted the movie at the end of my trial. Alice Paul, Hilary Swank's character, stood up and said, "Not one dime." And many of these women's suffragists, they came from... many of them were married. The point that I'm making is that they were not destitute the way I am, and that their husbands had more than enough money to pay their fine. Their fine wasn't it wasn't outrageous. It wasn't an outrageous amount of money. They could have paid it, but it wasn't about not being able to pay it. It just simply wasn't right. Women suffered, endured incredible hell, so that she, a woman, a black woman, could be free. Again, that makes the second time that this woman's demographic has feasted at the table of civil rights. And then later, this year, should I say, much later, Donald Trump's travel ban. Now, I understand that she herself might not necessarily, but then again, like I said, I don't exactly know where she came from. But Donald Trump has put a ban in effect. Certain people. These airports, DC, absolutely flooded with a lot of millennials. A lot of them were white millennials. Some of them were people of all ages, baby boomers, millennials, and everything in between, flooding the streets, flooding airports, causing havoc, getting arrested. Why? Because they found it to be unconstitutional that people from a particular country were being banned. Immigrants were being banned. That would make the third time that this woman, her demographic, got to feast at the civil rights table. She has taken and taken and taken, like a parasite. You feast and you take and you take. But what do you give? What do you give? In my case, she gave me judgmentality, prejudging me. You must be guilty. Why else would you be here? I don't know. Why was Alice Paul thrown in a jail? Why was Dr. King and many others thrown in the jail? We have congressmen right now, Capitol Hill, who have arrest records from being thrown in a jail. And right now, there are people fighting so that Muslims can come and enter. People of all walks of faith can come and enter the U.S. When that travel ban was going on, it was at or around that time that an Indian-owned and operated motel on Route 30, they had, after the fall and the winter of last year, and the foliage of the trees had gone, my camp had become visible, and they discovered me. I wasn't on their property. It was county property. Nevertheless, they saw fit to call the police and have me removed. You're Middle Eastern, and there are people fighting for you right now. Bet you didn't care about that. I don't know if I've made my point here or not. That's where I'm at right now. They feast on their civil rights. Hard fought, hard won. Many don't even think about the persons sacrificed. Of course, New Jersey State Trooper Michael Garral, he sums it up in one phrase: that's different. That's different. It's always seen as different in hindsight, after the bloodbath, after the carnage. When the history books have been written and the parades held and the parties of the war heroes, not terrorists, but war heroes. War heroes. And those captured, well. Alright, I don't know if I've made my point. I guess we got landscaping going on. So, sorry for the landscaping noise. I'll do my best. I'm struggling right now, so I'm just doing my best here. Alright, I know it's long. I'm sorry. Total Control 871.